I'm Harley from Harley's Worms, and in today's video I'm going to show you what 1-day-old worm castings look like versus what 1-year-old worm castings look like. And we're going to be putting them into water in these jars with our mixture, and then we're going to show what happens. So without further ado, here we are looking at the 1-year-old worm castings, and we actually put this bag up 1 year ago and didn't open it just to do this experiment. So I hope y'all like it. And right here we have the worm castings in a lid. That way we get an accurate measurement on our experiment here. And so now that we got her filled up, we're going to go ahead and dump it in the water. And as it goes into the water, we should really keep an eye on the fact that what it does when it gets into the water. Because when you do put worm castings out, depending on how you use them, you could put them on the top, you could put them in the soil, but eventually when it rains or when you water them, this is what's going to happen. But it's not going to be this much water, hopefully, but you get the point. Once you add water, then we're making a mixture for the plant to then take up. So it is important to know what you're getting. So when you are out there looking at worm castings, a lot of times at like big box stores, those could have been sitting there for over a year. So another reason to shop at Harley's Worms, and we're always going to pack them fresh for you. Our worm castings are always going to be packed up within 1 day of shipment. And so you're going to be getting the jar on the right hand side. Whereas if you go with another worm castings, you could be getting the jar on the left and be getting worm castings that have sat on the shelf for a year. And when that happens and they dry out, you're going to lose your microbial activity. And so because of that, we like the fresher castings. And because we pack them the day we ship them or the day before, you're going to be getting the beneficial microbes that are going to help take your plants to where you want them to be. And so enough with that. What we just did was put clay into the jar, and clay in your garden is great for holding water, and so you're not going to have to water as much. But what you're not going to get in a clay soil is going to be the aeration and the ability to dry out. So that's where it comes in crucial if you do have a clay soil or sand to put worm castings or something like a good potting mix or our seed starting mix with the clay, to then have something besides one thing in your soil. And when you mix them up, that's when the good stuff starts to happen for your plants. And that is also why it takes, somewhere around 2 years before you get peak production out of your garden, because it has to build up over time in your soil. But the best way to jumpstart that is to add stuff to the top. And so here we are with our seed starting mix, and as you can see, it's just kind of sitting on the surface of the water. And that's because when you order our seed starting mix, we ship it dry. That way we can fit as much into it as possible into the bag for you. And so you're going to have to add water yourself. And so once you add the water, you're going to want to mix it up very good with something. We use our hands most of the time, and but definitely recommend wearing gloves, as it can mess up your hands. And so here we are mixing it up with one of our popsicle sticks that we also sell on the website. Great for marking your bins or labeling your plants in the garden. And as you can see, when we mix up our seed starting mix, we're getting close to the color that we get in our fresh worm castings bowl or jar. And that's because the seed starting mix has our castings with it, among other things, to make sure your plants grow well. And so here we are mixing up the 1-year-old castings on the left, and as you can see, we're getting close to the same result. But you got to keep in mind that also the jar in the middle or to the left of the clay has more microbial activity in it, and so it's going to be better for your plants. And so definitely keep that in mind. And even when it's rehydrated here, we do have a darker color in the fresher castings, which is then going to make your dirt a darker color. And in our experience, the darker your soil, the better the plants grow and the better tasting the vegetable or fruit. And so as you can see, after all the jars are mixed up, it's pretty similar across all 3 or 4, but if it was me, I would want the fresh castings. And so now back to the clay soil. If you do have clay, this is a good one for you. Or if you have sand, just imagine this is sand, and it probably just wouldn't have as much color to it. But as you can see, when we mix them all together with seed starting mix, with castings, which is what we recommend for people to do, you do get a darker color. And when you mix clay with castings, that's when the good stuff starts to happen. And that's another reason why after year 1 or 2, you'll have better results, because this is just basically a quick way of showing what 2 years in the garden looks like. And so as you can see, the clay soil definitely benefits from added nutrients with the worm castings, and not that adding worm castings to clay is good, but mixing them is going to be better. So with that being said, check out our website and subscribe to Be a Legend. Thank you.